Okay, right. Forget everything, maybe not everything, but a lot of what you thought you knew about this Formula One season. That sound, it's not just the engines, is it? It's the sound of a title fight that, let's be honest, nobody really saw coming.
Nobody.
And it's heading straight for, well, one of the most notorious tracks on the calendar. Get this. The leader right now of the Formula One World Championship, Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, that Oscar Piastri is pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're deep into the 76th season, and the gap at the top, I mean, it's genuinely tighter than it's felt in years.
Really tight.
You got Piastri leading, okay, then his McLaren teammate, Lando Norris, just 10 points back.
Yeah.
And Max Verstappen, well, he's third. Still absolutely in the fight, mind you. Less than 50 points cover the top three.
Right.
This isn't just, a little shuffle. It feels like a proper power shift.
Absolutely, a real shakeup.
Yeah.
And the stage for this potentially season-defining race, Montreal. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, a place where the walls feel like they're practically part of the cockpit, where the weather forecast feels more like, I don't know, a suggestion, and the history. Glorious wins, total heartbreak. It's all there. Every single point, every fraction of a second, it just feels magnified here, especially on a track that offers, well, zero margin for error.
Precisely.
Right.
And that's what this deep dive is all about, using the stuff you, our listeners, have sent in. We're going to unpack what makes Montreal so demanding. Look at the dynamics this season, which are just fascinating, and really pinpoint what you need to be watching for this weekend.
Right, let's set that scene first, because the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, it's not like anywhere else, is it? It's this sort of unique beast, a semi-permanent street circuit built on an island, Notre Dame Island. You get these incredibly long straights, cars absolutely flat out, max VMAX, and then boom, you're hitting these super tight chicanes, hairpins, needs absolute precision.
And that mix, that's the key, isn't it? Because you have overtaking chances on those straights, sure, but the penalty for getting it wrong, breaking into those tight corners, it's instant. And there's hardly any runoff. It's grass, maybe some gravel, then just concrete, hard concrete.
Which inevitably leads to safety cars. I mean, look back at the history, it feels less like if and more like when.
Yeah, it's almost guaranteed.
When drivers mess up here, the consequences are usually big enough to need a cleanup. It just punishes mistakes so severely.
And there's no place more famous for that punishment than the final chicane. Turns 13 and 14. Coming onto the main straight, drivers are absolutely on the ragged edge there, trying to find every last thousandth.
The Wall of Champions earned that name the hard way, didn't it?
It certainly did.
You've seen world champions Hill, Villeneuve, Schumacher, Vettel. I mean, the list goes on. They've all had moments with that wall. A little kiss, sometimes a proper whack. It's just constantly testing you, daring you to push that little bit further on the exit.
And then you throw in the weather. Montreal and rain. It's like they have a regular date.
Always seems likely.
It's pretty rare to get a completely dry weekend there. So you often get these mixed conditions, grip levels changing lap by lap, teams trying to figure out the tire gamble. It causes strategic chaos, a sudden downpour. Suddenly, the fastest car can be a real handful.
Opens the door for others.
Exactly. Midfield teams can suddenly be in the mix if they roll the dice correctly on strategy.
We saw that just last year, 2024. What a race that was. Classic Montreal.
Absolute chaos.
Leather-affected, lead changes all over the place, 2 safety cars messing everything up. And Max Verstappen somehow just navigated it all to win. It was kind of the perfect example of Montreal drama, wasn't it?
Totally. Showed you need adaptability, you need bravery. It sums up the track, really.
And that means the teams, they're not just chasing raw speed, are they? They need a setup that can handle, whatever the track or the sky throws at them.
That's critical. They'll be working nonstop after practice, looking at every bit of data, trying to fine-tune things, because they know Friday's conditions might be totally different come qualifying or the race.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. From the track itself to the human drama, the team dynamics, because this is where it gets really juicy this season. We said at the start, but honestly, it's worth saying again. Oscar Piastri, leading the World Championship. 186 points.
It's genuinely remarkable. Only his second full season, right? And he's leading the whole thing. And then the twist. His teammate, Lando Norris, is right there. 176 points. McLaren haven't just built a good car. They've built a genuine championship challenger.
It's a fantastic comeback story for McLaren, isn't it? For so long, Red Bull just seemed unbeatable.
Untouchable, yeah.
But the data, the results this year, they show McLaren they've overhauled them, consistently faster, picking up more points. Their development has just been relentless, more effective. Ferrari, Mercedes, they're definitely fighting hard, pushing too, but McLaren are kind of the benchmark right now.
And you see that in the Constructors' Championship. McLaren are leading. I mean, who would have predicted that a year ago? Puts huge pressure back on Red Bull, on Ferrari, on Mercedes. They need to respond, and fast.
And stirring the pot even more is all the driver movement we saw heading into this year. The silly season was absolutely wild last year. 10 driver changes.
10. It's massive.
Think about that. Only 2 teams, McLaren and Aston Martin, actually kept the same lineup. Everyone else had at least 1 change.
Which really shakes things up inside the teams. You know, new drivers settling in, new partnerships forming. And the biggest move, maybe the biggest F1 story in, a decade?
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari.
The 7-time champ in Rosso Corsa, teaming up with Charles Leclerc. The anticipation for that pairing, seeing if they can actually bring Ferrari back to the very top, it's just huge. It goes beyond the sport, really.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, like you said, Piastri and Norris at McLaren, they've sort of quietly become maybe the strongest pairing on the grid right now, just consistently banking points.
Yeah, formidable.
And we're also seeing some really exciting rookies making their mark, several of them showing great pace, great maturity already.
Yeah.
Partly helped, I think, by that newer rule giving them more practice time.
Right, the extra FP1 sessions. Double the time, isn't it? 4 sessions per car per year.
Yeah, and that track time is like gold dust for a rookie.
Gets them up to speed quicker. Less pressure than a race weekend.
Exactly. Lets them learn the car, the team, the track. And you're seeing guys like Kimi Antonelli at Mercedes, Isaac Hadjar at Racing Bulls. They're genuinely looking impressive, already pushing some experienced guys.
Compresses that learning curve for sure. Now, looking at the early signs from Montreal this weekend, the sources mentioned the usual Friday struggles, right? A green track, low grip.
Yeah, typical Montreal start. The track doesn't get used much, so it's dusty, slippery at first.
And it catches people out. Saw Leclerc had an off, Stroll too. It just reminds you, even in practice, this place bites hard if you lose focus for a second. And losing that practice time, that's a big setback here.
Huge disadvantage. Every lap is crucial for setup, for driver confidence. But as Friday went on, we did see some real pace emerge. George Russell topped FP2 for Mercedes, which was interesting. Norris right behind him.
So Mercedes might be in the mix.
It suggests they might have found something that works well here. McLaren are obviously strong, but it shows the picture is still, pretty fluid. It's not necessarily a foregone conclusion heading into qualifying and the race. Teams will have been burning the midnight oil optimizing things.
And it's probably worth just sort of zooming out for a sec, because 2025, technically speaking, it's a big year. It's the end of an era for some key bits of technology.
That's a really important point. This is the last dance for the current hybrid power units. The last year for these ground effect cars that came in back in 2022.
Yeah.
And even DRS, as we know it, is set to change.
Wow. Okay, so teams are basically on their final push with this set of rules, trying to squeeze every last drop of performance out before the big reset in 2026.
Exactly. That's another layer of urgency, doesn't it? Got to maximize what you have now. Plus, Renault's leaving as an engine supplier after this year, too. Another little piece of the puzzle.
Right. So, okay, let's bring all this together. The track, the crazy championship fight, the driver moves, the technical backdrop. What does this actually mean for you, the fan tuning in? Why is this Canadian Grand Prix unmissable?
Well, honestly, it's the sheer drama potential, the unpredictability. Some tracks, you kind of know how it might play out, but Montreal just loves to throw curveballs, rain, safety cars, failures, somebody unexpected popping up on the podium. You just never quite know. And that is incredibly compelling.
Keeps you absolutely glued, right? So what specifically should you be watching for when the lights go out? Number one, obviously, the championship. It's so close.
Huge implications.
Fewer than 50 points between Piastri, Norris, and Verstappen. Every single position change, every overtake, every point won or lost could genuinely swing the whole title race momentum. Expect some pretty aggressive driving out there.
Definitely. And keep an eye on those rookies, too. How do they handle this pressure cooker? Montreal's unforgiving. Did that extra practice time give them the confidence to maybe spring a surprise or capitalize if things get messy?
Strategy calls. They're going to be absolutely vital.
Critical.
Especially with that ever-present threat of rain and the high likelihood of at least one safety car intervention. Who makes the brave tire call? Who reacts quickest when things change? Those pit wall decisions could easily decide the winner.
And of course, watch the track itself. Track limits are always tight here. Those hairpins are tricky. And that wall of champions, it's always lurking. Mistakes happen easily here, and they are almost always costly. One tiny slip can end a race or trigger chaos for everyone else.
And just remember the history here. This isn't just any track, it's a classic. Legends have won here. Hamilton, Schumacher, they both have 7 wins.
An incredible record.
Max Verstappen's won the last 3. Can he make it 4 in a row and start clawing back those points? Or is this the year McLaren, or maybe even Ferrari, with their new dynamic starting to build, breaks that streak? A new chapter could be written.
It really feels poised for something special, doesn't it?
It really does. So just to wrap up the hype, we've got a championship fight that's way closer than anyone expected, led by a driver few predicted would be there. We're at a circuit famed for its drama, unforgiving walls, unpredictable weather, new talent pushing hard, big names in new places, and the sort of end of an era technical push adding urgency.
The wall of champions is waiting.
Yeah.
The rain might be coming, and every single driver is going to be absolutely on the limit.
This is not just another Grand Prix. This is Canada. And here, honestly, anything can happen.
Man, just before you settle in for the race, here's a thought to chew on. Knowing this is the final year for things like DRS and these ground effect cars, how does that desperate push from teams to extract every last bit of performance from this dying tech, how does that intersect with the risk baked into a track like Montreal and the sheer intensity of this knife-edge championship battle? What kind of racing, what kind of potential fireworks does that combination set us up for? What are you about to witness?